Students, welcome back to Asian History. Today, we're going to be looking at Judaism, its belief system, its impact, and its lasting legacy on civilization. So without further ado, let's get to Judaism, originating 2000 BCE. And for each of these world religions, I'm going to try to give you somewhat of a time frame. These years are not perfect that I'm giving you, but they're around the time many of the original ideas of these thousands of year old religions really begin to form. Many people do not really begin covering Judaism until about 750 BCE, but there are rumblings of it within the historical record even before that, making Judaism one of the world's oldest religions with Hinduism. So here are our plans today. Highlighted text indicates you need to write and submit information to this assignment. Ensure you've completed all requirements in the what to submit section near the bottom. Participation will be rewarded for participating in class discussion if we end up doing it as a class. So step one is to take a good amount of time and look through this interactive map. There are significant locations detailing the Jewish diaspora, which means the dispersion over the past 3,000 years. So this is really interesting interactive that I have here for you. I don't want you to do anything specific, but I just want you to see throughout their history, one of the most horrifying things, quite frankly, and saddest things is how often Jewish communities have been dispersed from their locations for one reason or another. Many of you are probably aware of the Holocaust in the 20th century in Europe, but the Jewish experience goes back way, way past that to the Roman Empire, even before that, as really one of the key features of Judaism and its followers. So go through this, look through all of the different important historic events which have led them to be pushed out of their original places of that they had been settled down, and why they ended up emigrating the way that they did. A lot of these are focused around Europe over here, with a few in the United States, and then some going into Asia and parts of North Africa as well too. So read through these. They're not long at all, but it gives you a great idea of many of the places that they've been forced to relocate. Diaspora, remember that word. Dispersion, being moved or separated. Then we want to watch this video. Identify and submit 3 ways Judaism is different from the religion you learned about yesterday, which was Hinduism. Watch it together.
Judaism is the ancient religion of the Jewish people, a 3,000-year-old tradition that traces its roots back to the patriarch Abraham. So it is really the cornerstone religion for the...
As I mentioned the other day, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are referred to as the 3 Abrahamic religions because they trace their origins back to one historic figure, Abraham.
Abrahamic traditions of Christianity and Islam. Although the global Jewish population is relatively small at 14 million, the impact of Judaism on world civilization is profound and significant. They self-identify with one of 4 different schools of thought: Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, or Reconstructionist. But there is tremendous diversity of thought and opinion within each of those schools. The holiest text for Jews is the Hebrew Bible, or the Tanakh. And there's great emphasis from the tradition placed on the first 5 books of the Tanakh, which is called the Torah. In the Tanakh, we see the introduction of a strictly monotheistic God, the same God that Christians and Muslims were.
Monotheism, really, they describe the introduction of Judaism as the emergence of monotheism, or the belief in one God. That's one thing that sets it apart. The earliest really belief in monotheism, one God.
Worship. And the Tanakh also outlines a very significant aspect of Judaism for the Jewish people, and that's the covenant that the Jewish people have with God, which holds for the Jewish people a certain set of responsibilities around moral and social and political obligation. And the covenant really gives birth to a whole body of Jewish law, as exemplified by the Ten Commandments, which provides an ethical foundation really for Western civilization. Some of the common traditions for Jews around the world include circumcision of male children. That is part of the covenant that goes all the way back to the roots of Judaism. And also life rituals such as bar mitzvahs or bat mitzvahs, which really signify the coming to age of a young Jewish boy or girl.
When we talked about Judaism before, a lot of people chose the word symbolism to describe that particular set of beliefs. How far does that go into the Jewish belief system? How might that be a little bit different from the practices of Hinduism that you learned about yesterday?
As they enter into adulthood. Because Jews have wrestled so deeply with ideas of theology and philosophy, with law and ethics, and with the fundamental problem of human suffering, there's a rich intellectual tradition within Judaism of interpretation and debate that's built right into the heart of the tradition. So even though the sacred texts remain unchanged over time, the interpretation does change based on time and place and the interpreter. So in that way, it's a very dynamic tradition that also changes over time.
Okay, and we'll stop it there. So you're going to identify and submit 3 ways Judaism is different from the religion you learned about yesterday, which was Hinduism. Step 3, you're going to complete this reading that I've hyperlinked and answer the questions. How did the role of the Hebrews differ from many of the religions of their neighbors? What role did gender play in Hebrew society? What is the Hebrew Bible called and what does it include? Who did the Hebrews unite under? What was Babylonian captivity? What were the main problems faced by the Hebrews between 2000 BC and 700 BC? And then what ways are the laws delivered to Moses similar to Hammurabi's Code? And of course, we learned about Hammurabi's Code with our other ancient civilizations as well too. So what you are submitting is your responses to steps 2 and 3. And with that, I hope that helps you all out. If there's anything I can do to help you further, please don't be afraid to ask. Have a wonderful day.